Delhi is all set to receive 70 tons of oxygen amidst acute shortage. A train carrying 4 oxygen cylinders is going to be reaching the national capital tonight. The Railways has decided to ferry oxygen from Raigarh's Jindal steel plant to Delhi after its first 2 trains loaded with tankers were successful in transporting the life-saving gas. The Railways has chalked out plans to transport medical oxygen from Angul, Kalingnagar, Rourkela and Raigarh to Delhi NCR region and have asked the Delhi government to keep the tankers ready at stations to ferry the oxygen to the desired destinations. This is coming in as several hospitals in the national capital have raised an alarm for exhausting oxygen. The Delhi government has then written a letter to industries for oxygen being transported by railways from 9 locations. With COVID cases spiking across Delhi, the pressure on medical infrastructure is extremely intense. Patients and their families are struggling for oxygen beds and cylinders and ICU beds. Many hospitals have sent out multiple SOS messages to Delhi and Union government for emergency refill as well. They've taken on to Twitter to express their concerns, and that's how dire the situation is. Here's a report.
With massive surge in cases, Delhi's hospitals are overwhelmed and citizens are desperate. Several hospitals in the capitals have over the past few days been flagging shortage of medical oxygen. Pentamed Hospital in North Delhi is the latest in the growing list of overwhelmed hospitals to send SOS over the crisis. The hospital said it is left with very little supply for the 50 patients who are on oxygen support.
We have a very short oxygen counter. Around 1.5 hour approximate backup is there.
Delhi's Jaipur Golden Hospital has sounded another alarm over depleting oxygen stock. The hospital has said that 164 patients on oxygen support are at risk. The hospital had received oxygen supply last night in response to its SOS, but the hospital says the supply won't last long.
We had already communicated to the authorities and to the INOX people also, who are our principal supplier.
Yeah.
Yesterday night they had helped us and we got our supplies. But this supply will run up to around 6 p.m. Now, the problem here is, even if they give us the short supply, but it is the surety of the supply which should be ensured. If they cannot give me my quota of 3.6 metric ton in one go, it is okay. But you assure me, at least you are able to give me 900 liters every 6 hours.
Meanwhile, Lok Nayak Hospital, Delhi government's largest COVID-only facility, is running at full capacity with no ICU beds available. And the strain is beginning to show. At the hospital gates are distraught family members trying to get patients admitted. The hospital is running very low on ICU beds. Meanwhile, some good news from Sri Gangaram Hospital. Oxygen supply is finally running at full pressure. Following a shortage on Saturday, the hospital received 5 metric tons of oxygen on Sunday, highest in 3 days.
We have got today morning at 4 o'clock 5,000 cubic meter oxygen from INOS. They have promised us 9,000 cubic meter, which is our requirement. Our requirement is slightly almost 11,000 cubic meter now. But they have been directed by Delhi government to provide us 9,000 cubic meter per day, which they have failed. But I hope that they maintain it from today onwards. And today we are likely to get some supply from other sources also. So hopefully we should be little more comfortable as compared to yesterday.
Amid the crisis, oxygen suppliers had accused the Kejriwal government of mismanagement. The suppliers alleged that Delhi government has kept them in the dark over which hospitals need oxygen. The 12 oxygen suppliers say that they are clueless on which hospitals need priority. While the BJP targeted Kejriwal government, saying it delayed 8 oxygen plants sanctioned by the centre in December 2020, Kejriwal said his government has set up a war room to monitor SOS calls from hospitals.
हमने एक वो पोर्टल टाइप बनाया है और ऑर्डर जारी कर दिए गए हैं, जिसमें हर 2-2 घंटे में मैन्युफैक्चरर से लेके और अस्पताल तक, एंड यूज़र तक, हर एक को 2-2 घंटे के अंदर अपनी ऑक्सीजन की पोजीशन बतानी पड़ेगी।
जो 1 साल आपको वक्त मिला था पिछले साल कोविड से लेके इस साल कोविड तक, आपने कुछ क्या नहीं किया। अब आपको लेटर लिखनी पड़ी, और ये भी ब्रेकिंग न्यूज़ है कि आपने सारे स्टेट्स के सीएम्स को लेटर लिखी और ये बोला है कि हमारे को ऑक्सीजन प्रोवाइड कीजिए। तो वो 7 ऑक्सीजन प्लांट जो आपने लगाने थे, 8 में से जो 1 ही लगा है, उसका क्या हुआ?
While oxygen supplies are picking up at many hospitals, the unending COVID surge may belittle the help from government. With Arvind Ojha in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa is going to be chairing a key cabinet meeting today to discuss the COVID surge in the state. Karnataka has registered the biggest ever single-day spike with 34,804 new cases and 143 deaths in 24 hours. Karnataka government is mulling on the lockdown-like curbs all through the week and also on the weekends to contain the spread of the virus. Weekend curfew restrictions are already in place till 4th of May. Night curfew has been imposed in many parts of the state, including Bengaluru, Mysuru and Mangaluru. Educational institutions, malls, theatres are closed all over the state. Interstate movement, essential services, takeaway from restaurants is allowed amongst other exceptions. The COVID crisis in Tamil Nadu continues to worsen. The state has reported the biggest single-day spike in cases, recording over 15,000 fresh cases along with 82 deaths. To stop the spread of the virus, Tamil Nadu government has announced stricter curbs starting this morning. All the cinema halls, gyms, bars and meeting halls are going to remain shut. Shopping malls and complexes are not going to be allowed to be open. Beauty parlors, spas, salons are not going to be permitted to operate. Religious places will also remain closed for worship. Provision stores and vegetable shops are going to be allowed to function by following the standard operating procedures. A night curfew between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. and complete lockdown on Sundays is already in place in the state. And let's get you the story on the monster COVID surge. The COVID-19 situation continues to worsen every day and across different states in the country. The question that everybody asking at this point is, when is it going to be over? We all want to know answers to that only one question. When is all of this going to be finally over? The government's own internal assessment is indicating that the worst is still yet to come and that India's most populous states are going to be the worst hit. Sneha Mordani with the complete report.
1,19,000 cases every single day. That is the projection for the state of Uttar Pradesh by the end of April, for the 30th of April to be precise. So is India prepared for a massive COVID explosion? In the state of UP, the projection is that there is going to be a need for over 20,000 beds with oxygen support, and there is going to be a shortfall of over 16,000 beds. In the state, more than 3,588 ICU beds will be needed, but there's going to be a shortfall of over 3,081 beds. The need for ventilators is going to be 1,794, but there is going to be a shortfall of 1,538 ventilators. The country's most populated state, also with a healthcare system that leaves much to be desired, will be worst hit. The projection for a peak is of 5 lakh cases every single day by May, and this is expected to subside sometime in June.
The states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar are really in a difficult spot to cater to the surge in cases. The critical care needs to be strengthened in both state and district levels, and this is the time when the entire country has to come together in solidarity and support these states and the other states which require help. We need to fix the public health system by regrouping, refocusing and focusing all our energies in strengthening the critical care and save as many lives as possible.
Government sources say that in this meeting of the Prime Minister with the Chief Ministers, the big takeaway was that heavily populated states will face the biggest risks. Delhi may also see over 67,000 cases by the 30th of April. The projection is for a peak in mid-May with an acute shortage of oxygen beds and ICU beds. The presentation that was made in this important meeting highlighted the kind of gap in demand and supply when it comes to oxygen beds and ICU beds. And other states were also discussed. For example, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. All of these states will be facing acute shortage. Maharashtra is likely to see 1 lakh cases by the 30th of April. The centre has said that there should be a lockdown in the worst affected districts and infrastructure must be ramped up at a breakneck speed. In New Delhi, Sneha Mordani for India Today.
Time for a special COVID segment now, the good, bad and ugly. Here's a complete report.
The good news of the day as far as this pandemic is concerned, and that story is playing out on social media, especially on Twitter, where SOS messages from hospitals and patients of COVID-19, also family members of those patients, is getting amplified by social media influencers. Many good Samaritans are coming to the rescue of various hospitals, arranging oxygen cylinders, even medicines for patients, even arranging hospital beds. And this certainly is coming at a time when governments are failing us. This undoubtedly is the silver lining in this very dark cloud. The presentation that was made in this important meeting highlighted the kind of gap in demand and supply when it comes to oxygen beds and ICU beds. And other states were also discussed. For example, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. All of these states will be facing acute shortage. Maharashtra is likely to see 1 lakh cases by the 30th of April. The centre has said that there should be a lockdown in the worst affected districts and infrastructure must be ramped up at a breakneck speed. Is America First policy hurting India? America is not allowing export of raw materials required to manufacture vaccines to India. India has raised this matter bilaterally. India has raised these concerns previously also, but there is no change as far as the policy of the administration of Joe Biden is concerned. Also, America now is in a position to send doses of AstraZeneca vaccine to India. The US is not even using these vaccines, but it is not doing so. India is upset and turning to other partners like the EU for external support. But will this sort of a reaction really from America hurt the bilateral ties between India and America? It does appear so.
As India's COVID crisis worsens by the day, multiple countries have responded to India's cry for help in the battle against the second COVID wave. On Sunday, United Kingdom announced 495 oxygen concentrators, 120 non-invasive ventilators and 20 manual ventilators are going to be sent to India. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that the country is going to be standing by India to help stop the tragic loss. Meanwhile, Denmark has assured oxygen containers to India via shipping giant Maersk. Chancellor Angela Merkel also announced that Germany was preparing for a mission support for India. Earlier, Saudi Arabia sent 80 metric tons of liquid oxygen to India. Russia also is likely to send oxygen concentrators and tanks. India is witnessing a massive shortage of oxygen, with hospitals sending multiple distress calls for help as COVID cases spike across the country.
I found the scenes from India absolutely heartbreaking. We have such ties of friendship and in many cases family. We've been working this weekend to put together a package of support which is now on its way to India, of ventilators and oxygen concentrators to help to save lives right now. This shows that this disease isn't over yet, and we'll keep working with colleagues around the world to try to save lives from this awful disease and of course protect people here at home.
In a big boost to India's vaccine manufacturing, United States of America has lifted the ban on export of raw materials for the manufacturing of Covishield vaccine. This decision has come on the back of a call between NSA Ajit Doval with his counterpart Jake Sullivan on Sunday. Earlier, Serum Institute CEO Adar Poonawala had requested US President Joe Biden to lift the embargo on raw materials in order to ramp up the production of Covishield, which is one of the 2 vaccines that are being administered across India. The US government is also going to be supplying therapeutics, rapid diagnostic test kits, ventilators, PPE kits to help India fight the second wave of COVID. US is also going to be deploying a team of CDC experts to work with India to contain the spread of coronavirus. Amidst a massive COVID surge in West Bengal and across the country for that matter, the state is all set to vote in the 7th phase of assembly elections today. 34 constituencies are in poll fray in the 7th phase. Focus on this phase of polling will be on Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's stronghold, Bhabanipur and Asansol South. That is going to be seeing TMC's Shayani Ghosh contest against BJP's Agnimitra Paul. The star candidates in this phase are TMC's Firhad Hakim, who are going to be contesting from Kolkata Port, and CPIM's Aishe Ghosh, who is going to be contesting from Jamhuria. Polling has been postponed in Jangipur and Samsherganj constituencies to 16th of May following the death of two candidates. Ravindra Jadeja single-handedly demolished Royal Challengers Bangalore to hand Chennai Super Kings 69-run victory. Jadeja smashed an unbeaten 62 before picking 3 wickets to guide CSK to their 4th win of the season. Take a look.
Shot. Electing to bat first, Chennai Super Kings were off to flying start with Faf du Plessis on the attack.
A little shimmy and
Rituraj Gaikwad added 71 for the first wicket with du Plessis before he was dismissed by Chahal.
up a long way. And taken, simple catch. They desperately needed a wicket.
Du Plessis got to his second half century in a row before CSK lost 2 in 2, which slowed down the scoring rate.
Taken.
Jadeja and Dhoni were still at the crease, and it seemed Chennai may find it difficult to reach a par score when they were 154 for 4 after 19th overs. But Jadeja launched Harshal Patel for 5 sixes to score 37 off the final over and took CSK to 191 for 4.
Oh, that might be a no ball as well. And it's going out the ground.
RCB began well but lost Virat Kohli early.
Chase on it that time, a bit of extra bounce. And that is a well-deserved breakthrough. Indeed, that's...
Devdutt Padikkal was looking dangerous before Shardul Thakur brought an end to his 15-ball 34 knock.
Looking to go off the hip again, and has found short, fine leg. A big breakthrough for CSK.
It was a day when Jadeja could do nothing wrong.
Oh, Vivo, perfect catch of the match.
The left armour first dismissed Sundar and Maxwell in back-to-back overs.
Jadeja, another wicket for the Super Kings. What a moment in the game.
And then when he was on the field, he got Dan Christian with a direct hit.
Direct hit from Jadeja. If it wasn't the bat, that's it. Another wicket.
To put an end to any hopes that RCB may have had, he got cleaned up AB de Villiers to leave Bangalore tottering at 83 for 6.
Making a mockery out of this opposition. Jadeja again. Oh, it seems like
Jadeja finished his bowling with 3 for 13 to go with his unbeaten 62 of 28.
What a game it has.
Chennai Super Kings completed the formalities and handed Virat his first defeat of the season to surge to the top of the points table.
Performance, a win by
Sports Bureau, India Today.
The Wankhede on his back.
Delhi Capitals prevailed in the first super over of the season with a victory over Sunrisers Hyderabad. Batting first, Delhi Capitals posted 159, and despite a good start from Hyderabad that was followed by a half-century from Kane Williamson, the scores were locked after the regulation time. In the super over, Hyderabad managed 7 runs. Delhi chased that down in the last delivery to notch their 4th win of the season. That's a wrap from me, Chaiti Narula, on this bulletin. For further news and updates, don't forget to log on to indiatoday.in or go ahead and download our India Today app now. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for your time. See you in just a bit with the top headlines.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.